Well, howdy ho and good morning. For some strange reason, one of these platforms ain't working, and that's okay. It says it is, so I'm going to trust that it is, but I don't see it, so we might have to restart this one. One moment, please, while I deal with these technical difficulties. All right. Good morning. It's so good to see all of you this morning. Having a couple technical difficulties, so we're going to just pause and be present and just wait for these technical difficulties to soothe themselves. This is my first of my 30-day, 2 lives a day practice. So thank you for being here and thank you for your patience. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for being here. Hey, a goddess name free. Thank you for being here. It's great to see y'all on Substack. I'm currently live on YouTube, Instagram, and Substack. So it's beautiful to see y'all this morning. Thank you for subscribing on Substack. Thank you for subscribing everywhere. The support does not go unnoticed. It allows us to be creative and show up and hold space and do all the things that we do as a collective. I'm Maisha T. Hill. I'm the curator of Check Your Privilege and Heal Your Way Forward, which is our collective. And I'm grateful to be here with you today. I want to start with just 1 minute. It's like 50 seconds of breathing. It's through the Calm app on YouTube. It's a breath bubble. So you'll breathe in and then you'll breathe out. Just want to ground us into our bodies before I get started because there's just a lot happening and a lot of people are on social media, and let's just breathe through it. All right. So let's go for about 50 seconds. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. It's just like less than a minute. I love that. I love small practices to move through the day. They are just absolutely beautiful. So thank you for watching again from wherever you are, no matter what app you're on. I'm just super grateful that you're here today for this conversation. And this morning, I just have a few thoughts. I want to talk about Black women holding the line, rest compensation, and the labor of liberation. You know, Black women have always held the line in liberation spaces. Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for being here. Black women have always held the line in the work of liberation. And a lot of people like to kind of sweep it under the rug or walk away from the conversation. And so, literally, anytime I say anything about Blackness, that does not center whiteness, white people, white women, white supremacy, the discomfort shows up and most people leave the conversation. Well, I'm here to make you uncomfortable because you're too comfortable talking about whiteness. That just hit me. People are so comfortable talking about whiteness that when it's decentered and you start talking about other things, they can't stay engaged in the conversation. But like I said in my mantra this morning, discomfort is not danger. Discomfort is your invitation to grow. And the more you allow yourself to sit in your discomfort, the more you will grow, right? And so today I want to just center Black women. I want to talk about our labor, our legacy, and our right to rest. I've been reading the book, The Conjuring of America, in the collective, where we center Black liberation. What is it called? The Conjuring of America. If you have not heard this book, The Conjuring of America by Lindsay Stewart, it is a beautiful book. I cannot even explain to y'all how amazing this book is. It talks about mojos, mermaids, medicine, and 400 years of Black woman's magic. This book for me is the epitome of like who Black women are and what it means to be Black. For the first time, I feel like this book, like many books, like Angela Davis writes about women's race and class. Don't want to take anything away from living elders, but this book just woke something up in me. And it is really from Lindsay Stewart, who's a Black philosopher. Her book is about the politics of Black joy, right? And she retells the American history from slavery to Jim Crow from the perspective of Black. This book is just amazing, and I'm like stumbling over my words because it's like waking me up, and it's waking our whole collective up. And why I want to talk so much about Black liberation and pro Black solidarity is because it makes everybody uncomfortable. Because it's not centering whiteness, it's not centering the narrative that white women are bad and white men are this and white supremacy is that. We already know that. So for me in my work now is, well, what is the opposite? What is the opposite of centering the comfortable conversation? And how can I say it's comfortable when people from the other side are like, oh well, you guys are racist for saying this about white. It's still centering whiteness. So can we move like the iteration of the next generation, like the legacy, the dream that I see when I think of Afrofuturism, when I think of books by Octavia Butler, sci-fi, like the dream of Blackness and the beauty of that, it's the opposite of centering whiteness. But the deepest fear that everyone has, from my experience, is that, well, Black people, if we give them too much power, they'll treat us like we've treated them. And that's really hard for a lot of people to really think. I don't understand how people think that either. But anyway, so I want to talk about how Black women have always like held the line. We've always held the line in the movement, in kitchens, hospitals, classrooms, picket lines, and so often we did it invisibly without compensation or recognition. So in Sisters of the Yam, Bell Hooks says, Black women have too often been silent about their need for emotional and physical well-being, taking care of about their physical and well-being. Bell Hooks talks about this for a book that she wrote for Black women about how to literally like find your sister circles and be well, right? And so for me, I have to like really ask people in white bodies, when did you learn it's okay to watch Black women be quiet about their needs? Now, we know that white women are quiet about their needs because you were socialized not to ask for help. But when you see Black women on the internet, there are several liberation teachers that are Black. There are several Black authors. There are several women who are actually leading the charge in the work of liberation, and they name their needs. I'm always curious why people in white bodies disappear from the conversation. And I've been thinking about this for about 24 hours about the connection between a culture of oppression that does not normalize care. And when people do have a need, it's moving from saviorism and rescue instead of people slowing down and saying, do I have capacity to fill a need? My mind has just been on a whirlwind for about 24 hours. And so and if you are a Black woman watching this, when did you first learn you needed to be quiet about your needs? I'm no longer quiet. And what got me here is this last year having to actually ask people for help, being too sick to work, being still not 100% well, and still requesting the need for support. And when you request the need for support, it shows up. But then we tap the line because then it's, you'll support me, but when I teach a workshop or a class, you won't sign up. So now we have to figure out that delicate balance. There is a delicate balance because supporting Black women in liberation work is supporting when they present with a need, and also supporting them to help you learn on your liberation journey. Because Black women, we are the goats, we are the magic, and history has proven that. And I want to say that Black women, I'm not asking for a handout, and I'm not speaking for all Black women, by the way, but I am asking for repair because there is an unpaid burden of Black women because we have built families, movements, and economies. When you start to learn about the history of Black midwifery, that is like the root of care. When you start to learn about the Mamie trope and what that actually represented outside of a pop culture conversation, it gets real deep. It gets real deep. And so from slavery to the nonprofit industrial complex to the social justice industrial complex, our labor as Black women is constantly extracted. It's praised, then it's forgotten. And so I have to name this. Your gratitude is not a payment, and your praise is not protection, because rest and compensation have to be a non-negotiable for Black women. And if this conversation is making you uncomfortable, congratulations. This is how you live into your work. This is how you engage in true liberation. No one wants to hear about the importance of centering Black people in liberation work. because we have movements like showing up for racial justice that are telling white people, do not go to Black people for the work, but they'll extract the knowledge. That is colonization. It's extracting. But if Black and Indigenous folk are the source, why are people just extracting? And why are you okay with that? You have to be uncomfortable. There's an expectation. I say in Heal Your Way Forward, I echo this. This is the underlying echo. There's this expectation that Black women should be constantly caregiving and showing up without acknowledgement. And it's showing up in that way in a system of harm, and it's cloaked in heroism. So you say that Black women are your heroes. You say that you love Black women. You say you want to protect Black women. But in this living moment in history, when your rights as a white-bodied person are being taken by the government right now, you're clinging on and you're holding on in rugged individualism to the little bit that you have because you're scarce and you're not afraid if more will come. That's how I know we're still living in the imagination of the colonizer. We're still living in the colonizer's imagination. Because if we weren't living in the colonizer's imagination and we were actually living in the true imagination of Blackness in solidarity with Black people, there's more than enough. In fact, growing up on the south side of Chicago with my grandmother, I never heard my grandmother say, from my experience, that we are poor. And I'm somebody who grew up drinking aloe vera juice, eating liver and onions. I love liver and onions. I grew up in such a different thing. When I got around whiteness and white people, it was like, you're poor. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm poor? I'm happy. I got food. I got my mom. I got my grandmama. I got my, you know what I'm saying? As I got older, I figured out where the unhappiness came from. And I keep it real with all y'all. I was great until we moved into the predominantly white institutions. Once we moved to the suburbs and we left the hood, as people call it, my life went like, I literally am having memories of childhood, of how happy I actually was. And I never thought that I was poor because we don't speak that way. We don't speak about how poor we are, or I didn't grow up hearing that language. Because yes, Abia, our spirit is rich. And what I am relearning by centering Black history is the richness of what it means to be Black and Indigenous in a system that exists to extract from you all the time. What does it mean to be magical in a system and to create and to show up in a system that is constantly stealing from your humanity? Right? So now if you're a person in a white body, it's like, well, how have I like just applauded and said thank you? And I thought about, well, wow, this person is teaching me something. I wonder if I can volunteer for their organization, because it's not always dollars. Maybe you're a grant writer and you're like, wow, I see, I'm gonna use myself, Maisha online every day. Maybe there's a women's grant I can help her apply for. But we don't live in the culture of care. So the magic that I experienced growing up, it's so foreign to everybody that I meet. The magic of Blackness that I grew up in is foreign in a system that only extracts the part of you that it needs to survive. Because we live in an extractive system. So I want to keep telling you this. If the system is one way, the people are the same way, because we are codes in the system. So if the system of oppression is rooted in this, the people are rooted in this. And you have to do the opposite, like Stranger Things. It's like the demiurge. What happens when you flip it upside down? What happens when you stop focusing so much on, oh, this is happening and that is happening, and really like, well, what does Afrofuturism tell us about this moment? Like the power of all of us just saying, you know what? We should all read Parable of the Sower, Parable of the Talents, and also, right, contrast and compare that to books like The Conjuring of America. Contrast and compare that to books like Roots by Alex Haley. What is the lesson? Because it's not just Black people suffer. You feel me? Like for me to hear a book and hear how Dr. Stewart, Lindsay Stewart, goes and talks about Aunt Jemima, and wow, We understand the problem with it, the joy that a lot of Black women who were enslaved at that time had because of the care that they provided to people in the midst of oppression. You can't tell me that's not nothing but magic. You cannot tell me that Black women showing up and giving care in the state of oppression and being extracted from, but still showing up, that should already tell you that myth that Black people will turn on me if I center them. There's too much evidence that that's not real. Where are you looking for your evidence? If you're only going to your white affinity groups who have co opted and extracted the information from Black folk and Indigenous folk, yeah, that's we got some work to do. Stay uncomfortable. So when it comes to Black women, I want to say that our rest is not a reward, it's our right. We're not machines, we are sacred, and rest is how we return to ourselves. So many of us, I'm going to speak for myself. I literally can actually see the extraction when I think of 2020 and how I worked every day for 4 years, having panic attacks, being hospitalized, developing Hashimoto's. I remember I was on a live once and someone's like, Maisha, your thyroid looks, a nurse, Maisha, even right now, it might be a little swollen. Your thyroid looks swollen. You might want to go get that checked, only to find out I had an issue. In that moment, the ancestors needed me to see that comment to say, I'm killing myself. And then to have long COVID and still recovering from it and still showing up, I have to be very careful because I could still kill myself. Like for some reason, like the last 4 days, I'm having chest palpitations again. And I stopped taking my blood pressure medicine and now I'm taking it again because where I feel the pain means take your blood pressure medicine because I know my body. So now I'm asking myself, what am I doing to put myself in a position where I'm having pains in my body again, where I feel inflamed and I'm sore? Well, first for me, it starts with, let me just keep it real for y'all go into a panic. It starts with my nutrition, what I'm putting in my body. It starts with my rest. Am I getting enough rest? 3, have I taken my vitamins? I have core vitamins that I know I must take every day to help me with the long COVID symptoms, along with teas and juices that I have to drink. All 5 of these things I have not been doing for 4 weeks. So I'm denying my right for rest and care because I have to show up and work because my rent has to be paid. And if no one's signing up for workshops and classes and I'm just on the internet just going live all the time in hopes that, hey, people, we have a class, we have a workshop in the midst of global disaster, there's so many moving parts. But I have to I told myself starting tomorrow, I have to reclaim myself. I can't be showing up for free. I can't be just, nah, it has to change because too many of my answers show up, give knowledge. Ancestors, guides, elders have been extracted from and have died, like Zora Neale Hurston. There was no reason for Zora Neale Hurston to die poor. Yes, she loved the work that she did, but she should not have died poor and her body was in an unmarked grave in the South. And I think about this moment that I'm in history for my own journey is like, if something were to happen to me today, there is no legacy for my children. That is no longer okay for me. I cannot accept that in my life anymore. So rest will be the catalyst for me to be more creative, for me to invite people to support the work that I do, to invest so I can take care of myself and leave something behind for my children. Like the ancestors have been working on me all week. This eclipse is not playing no games. The veil is thin. And we're about to go into Scorpio season pretty soon. It's still Libra, but the veil is thin. The veil is thin. If you don't know what that means, you might want to take a spiritual journey too, because when I'm even talking about Black women, Black bodies, Black people, Black trans people, two-spirited folk, talking about the magic of who we are, that's deeply connected to the spiritual journey that we are actually in our bodies here to do, reclaim ourselves. I can't transform the system if I keep abandoning my body. But I keep abandoning my body because the people who say they're showing up for liberation are not investing in the work. Should I say that one more time? Okay, cool. That was my Black church. One more time. I cannot transform systems if I'm abandoning my body because the individuals who are needed to invest in working on themselves in the work are not investing they're actually fleeing. You're fleeing and you're joining subsects of liberation instead of looking at the whole picture. My body is not a battleground, and I'm allowed to rest, I'm allowed to heal, and I'm allowed to be held. And I'm speaking for all Black and Indigenous women. People cannot keep extracting from us for free, turning it into their own organizations or ideas because it feels like the right thing to do because we don't want to put the burden of labor. It's not that white bodies don't want to put the burden of labor, you don't want to pay for it. And there's the difference. You don't want to invest in yourself, and social media and hot takes has made it easy for you to hear a hot take and think that's it. So now we don't have our critical thinking skills to be like, wow, that's an interesting take. I don't know if I agree with it. Let me do deeper work. But because you get a hot take and you think that's the answer, you keep scrolling instead of looking within and doing the deeper work. That's always my invitation. Don't take everything that I say for face value. You have to go and make sure that what I'm saying is actually truth for yourself. Don't take what I say as face value. I learned this from my favorite pastor, Pastor Leemore Mitchell Sr. He would always say after a sermon, don't take my word for it. So does his son, Dr. Pastor Joseph Mitchell. Don't take my word for it. Go and search the scriptures for yourself. So if I say Bell Hooks said a thing, don't just trust that Bell Hooks said the thing. I need you to stop what you're doing and say, and Google, did Bell Hooks say this? And if I'm wrong, the great thing about accountability, you say, hey, Maisha, you said Bell Hooks said this, but I can't find it. Can you help me find it in the book? Or did you write it down? Because when I looked it up, she said it like this. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, okay. She did say it like this. And this is what probably would have happened. But we're not in a world that way. We're on the world that tiptoes on broken glasses, and people think, well, you're a Black woman and you're not supposed to argue with Black women. And I said Maisha T. Hill, I didn't say all Black women. And that's why I know that our critical thinking skills and our ability to just like withhold information is diminishing because we are glued into something that is trying to destroy us. We are glued into systems that are trying to destroy us. And rather than us learn to scale back and pull back and back away, we get pulled further in. Never take anything that I say. I can't speak for all Black women, but don't take anything I say like as the word. I need you all to go live into the work and search. All right, so Black to Black women. See, the ancestors got a lot to say today. Collective care is how we survive. So, you know, one thing I did, I talked about the magic of growing up Black in Chicago on the South Side, is seeing how my grandmother, my mother, they knew that we had to hold each other up because the system was never built to hold us. And collective care is not luxury. It's just a continuation of our liberated lineage. And so I have to think about how healing begins with acknowledgement and how we must name the hurt, the exhaustion, and begin the work of collective repair from Sisters of the Yam. So my question then goes to who's holding you up? Who are you holding up and who's holding you? And if no one is holding you and you're just holding a collective of people, you really got to ask yourself several questions. I find myself in that same space today. Like we have in Heal Your Way Forward, we have two paths. We have three paths. It's like a trinity. White body people, bodies of culture, all of us. If I was to take the Holy Trinity and talk about Heal Your Way Forward, you have the white body folk doing the work, you have the people of culture doing their work, building relationships, and then you have the all of us. We are the trinity of what we do in our collective. Because there are times we all come together and we do different things, right? But what happens when you're the curator of the space and you're in all of the spaces? Sometimes you have to pull back. So this week I had to pull out of the white body group because I'm like, I'm posting in the big space, but we have different chats. I had to pull back because I don't think the white body group recognizes the gift it is to have a curated space by a Black woman. It's not here. So now they have to have conversations not just me, of how their behaviors are impacting me and everybody else who's a body of culture. Because I can tell you two things: the conversations that people in the body of culture group are having are not the same that the people in the white body group are having. Because people in white bodies still have to learn what it means to be a culture of care, how to be accountable, and how to decenter themselves. Right? So for me, as someone who's holding up too much, like I'm holding up so much right now that I'm just sitting here like, I'm gonna have to take a mini vacation. I'm gonna have to take some time away. And also, how do you do that when there's bills that need to be paid? So it's such a dance. So maybe taking time away is not even necessarily going on a 6 month vacation out of leaving the country for a year. Do you, if anyone would ever know, if anyone, I'm gonna just throw this out here because we're talking about who are you holding up and who's holding you. If anyone ever asked, Maisha, what's the one thing that you would love to do that would just give you spaciousness and you can go off somewhere, right? Hang out with your kids. 2 years, no, I'm gonna say five because I'm going back to 5 years out of this country, traveling the world with my children, writing, co-facilitating, maybe once, twice a month. That's the dream. That would be the dream. Traveling, doing my work, healing, but mostly majority of the time with my kids out of off of this land and this energy. 5 years, that would be the dream. My son's about to turn 15. Is that possible? Probably. Who knows? So as you go through your day and as you're watching Black women today on social media, I want you to ask yourself, I wonder who's holding them up. I wonder who's investing in their care. I wonder if there's a workshop or a class I can sign up for. I wonder how I can break out the disillusion that I'm the only one going through something and poor me and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? I want us to stop glamorizing the burnout of Black women. I want us to not expect unconsciously. I'm going to say it's unconsciously. I'm going to just say stop unconsciously expecting Black women to pour out endlessly and ask, what do you need and how can I support you? You know, the affirmation for myself is I'm not here to be consumed. I'm here to be loved. My rest is radical and not righteous. To rest is to remember that I am not a mule of the movement. To ask for compassion is to declare that my labor is not disposable. And to hold the line and be held in return is the most revolutionary act that I know. And also, in this moment, what is the dance of being in it and not of it? And how do I not just center the needs of the collective, center the needs of my own? And I'm hoping you're reflecting and asking yourself those same questions. And this is why I say the journey is individual and collective, because most times if I'm talking to the collective, I'm talking to myself too. None of this is never you are this and you do that. It's you and I have my work to do. You have my work to do, but we can still come together and figure it out, right? So if you want to watch this full video, you can go to our YouTube channel at Heal Your Way Forward. The title of this talk is Black Women Hold the Line, Holding the Line, Rest, Compensation, the Labor of Liberation. I usually show the little clips on social media, but other than that, if you want to go deeper, you're welcome to join us in the Heal Your Way Forward Collective. Our collective membership is now open, so you're welcome to become an active member. We do ask for that there's a deep 20-week immersion that shows you who we are, what we believe, and it literally, we actually begin working on your journey. And then in January, we go into our deeper work. So you're welcome to join us there. Thank you for watching live or watching the replay. I'm very grateful to show up. I'll be back with the evening check-in real quick. Other than that, keep living into your work, and I'm going to keep living into mine. Much love to you all. Have a beautiful Thursday. Peace.